Welcome to Sips with Scrubs, a nurse podcast where we talk about the good, bad, and ugly of being a nurse. I'm your host, Nurse Laney, and today we are joined with Alee. She was here, I feel like, maybe 20 episodes ago at this point. I don't know how long it's been, but if y'all have been watching, y'all have seen her before. If y'all are new watching or listening, this is Alee. I'm going to let her give herself a quick introduction so you guys could become familiar with her.
So like Anicia said, I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for a year now, or close to, and I'm in a NICU here in Houston. That's really it. Nothing special.
So last time when Alee was here, I think she was not quite yet 6 months. I think maybe you're like two. No, you're still on preceptorship, right?
Yeah, I was still on orientation.
Yeah, she definitely was still in orientation. So I had to bring her back so she can give you guys and me an update on her journey because I know she was struggling for a little bit, which is not uncommon. So I wanted her to talk about that some more. But before we dive into today's topic, today we're going to be sipping on, Alee's drinking on water and I'm drinking on Spark. So for those who are unfamiliar, Spark is like, I guess you could say it's akin to an energy drink through Avocare.
Yeah.
But it's not like caffeinated or anything like that. So I'm like,
Efficacy.
is it energy drink? Yeah, I'm like, is it energy drink?
No, I wonder too because I'm like, is it green tea?
Yeah, so I'm like, and I know it's full of vitamins and different things like that, but I do notice a difference versus if I drink it versus if I don't. So that's why I said it's akin to it, but I wouldn't put it on par with the other ones. So I just say it's a healthier alternative
to energy drinks.
Right.
I agree. I can tell when I take it. Like when I take it, I'm gone off the Spark.
Yeah, I was about to say I could tell when I take it and when I don't, especially like when I work out and whatnot.
Yes.
So that's why I was like, it's energy drink, but it's not like how them other ones be. And there's no like crashing afterwards. No. I know I heard people say that they crash. I don't even ever drink that, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, but, I used to drink energy drinks to get through nursing school.
Oh, so you know. See, I've always drank Spark. I've been drinking Spark since college.
Oh, no. No.
And then one time, one of my coworkers, when I was in college then too, but I think that's before we started, or around the time we were starting to do Avocare.
Right.
It was Herbalife, which is like similar. And they had something too, but that one was like, that one had me real lit. Like I was jittery. This one, I was like, I don't know. I can't remember what that one was called, but this one tastes better, and it doesn't make me, it makes me up, but I'm not jittery.
Yeah.
It's not to that point.
No, I agree. Because normally it's like leg tapping, like,
you're right.
I don't know what to do with my body kind of thing.
I have too much energy. I need to expend it quick.
Immediately.
Quick. Yeah, and I'm like, you can't really do that in nursing. I need steady hands.
Right. and actual focus.
Right. Yeah, it gets hard to like, it's like, what? Yeah, no. Anyway. So this won't give you that. They have lots of flavors if y'all want to try it out or whatever. I'm also going to be taking my vitamins while I'm doing that. If y'all see me swallowing pills, it's not that.
She popping pills.
Yeah, it's not that. We don't do drugs. These are vitamins. We're going to go for a walk later, so I'm preparing my life. So that's what I'm sipping on throughout today's episode. Y'all get something to sip along with us throughout today's episode, and we're going to get into bad scrubs. So Bad Scrub is a segment on our episode that's about nurses who've been criminally charged. I can't remember if I had this last time you were here or not. Mm-mm. Okay, I didn't think so. So yeah, I don't know when I started it. I know I did it with Gregory, but anyway, it's a segment where we talk about different nurses who've been criminally charged. So you might have seen this because this came up recently in social media. Did you hear about the nurse who performed liposuction on herself and died?
Yes.
So that's today's bad scrub. So they didn't actually like name her. They just call her Karina.
Okay.
Yeah. And so as you probably know, it happened in Mexico and she was a nurse. But the reason why she died is because she administered herself a local anesthetic.
Yeah.
And it basically was too much. And it caused her to go into cardiac arrest.
I haven't even seen this. Like I saw literally like a little one-liner on like nurse gave herself liposuction and died. That's all I saw. I haven't like read into it. I was like, this is stupid.
That's what happened. Because at first I was like, I thought like it was from doing the liposuction itself, but
Right.
no, it's because of the local anesthetic she gave. Of course, she didn't know how much to give. I guess
Because that's not
your
usually
scope, yeah.
right.
So she performed it on herself. She gave herself too much and went into cardiac arrest and died.
Think about what your family's gonna say now.
It's just crazy. Why you wanted it that bad?
I just couldn't imagine like what the obituary looks like. Like what does that
But
look
I'm
like
just
for
like,
you?
you couldn't get like someone else to do the anesthesia part, or like you couldn't. I guess you didn't want to involve no other parties. I'm like, you couldn't have tried to like get a little a for the low
Or you had access to all of this and you didn't think to like discuss?
research.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even then I was like, why you didn't do some digging around? So for a person my height and weight, how much do you think
Right.
something?
Approximation.
Or you
Nothing?
can like look at other cases y'all have had and guesstimate or something. But I don't know. I'm like, you didn't prepare enough to be risking your life.
No. And for the viewers, I don't even like taking medicine, period.
I don't either.
So the idea of giving myself liposuction is just something far, far beyond me. It's
I
above
was
me.
wondering, would she be able to even? So say she administered the anesthesia
Right.
correctly. At that point, are you cognizant? Well, okay, it's just that local area, so I guess you may be cognizant enough to then perform the liposuction. But you gonna stay like with it while you see the fat and all that getting
That's
sucked
what
out of
I'm
you?
saying. It's a tactile maneuver. Like that's something that you physically have to like be able to kind of like assess. And like
Yeah.
if you're the person performing it on that anesthetic, you don't like you can't gauge. I just more power to her.
Not a
May
good
she
idea,
rest.
as y'all can see. Rest in peace to that lady.
Yeah. Sorry for her.
I'm just like, dang. You at least if it would have been a complication, but she real life died.
Yes.
Like that's horrible.
That's what I'm thinking though. Like you could like wow. I don't know if risking my life for the BBL is
Risk it, but do it with licensed professionals.
right.
They're already dying by them. You think you could do it?
That's you know what?
I
Let me
mean, it's
see
just
it.
lipo, but I was looking it up because it was in the same article, and they said that there's like a less than 5% chance of complications with liposuction. So it actually is safer than like the whole BBL thing. It's just when it's just getting sucked out.
Yeah.
That's what I saw, and then read, and then they said too that the most common complication is pulmonary embolisms.
Right.
So then I'm wondering, I'm like, are they not going on blood thinners afterwards to prevent that? I thought they would be.
After liposuction?
Yeah, I thought they would be like part of the protocol because with regular patients that we get for surgeries, we keep them on Lovenox or something
Right.
during the hospital stay, and then we not translate, convert them over to like something to take at home for a certain amount of
Right.
days. So
Yeah.
I'm like, they don't do that for those.
You know what, Lenicia? I actually never even thought about that. I think maybe because I'm not like
Into it.
I was gonna say like into plastics or whatever. I guess I just never even considered that. That does make sense though.
Because I'm like, if you know what the most common complication is, there are already other surgeries and protocols in place for those reasons. So I'm just
Yeah.
not understanding.
Yeah. Like originally when you said she died, I thought maybe like a thromboembolism or something
Right,
like
yeah.
that. Like to begin with. So yeah, that actually does really make sense.
Mm.
I don't know what their protocol would be.
If y'all know anything about this stuff, let me know down in the comments because I find it fascinating. Because I'm like, how many, all these hard surgeries we do, and people dying from BBLs?
Right.
I'm not understanding that.
No, I don't
Now,
get
I
it.
do know that sometimes out of the countries, they don't have the same standards of
Yeah.
care as people do in the United States. And I know they're cheaper. That's why people go there.
Right.
So that's one reason. They don't have the same standards of care. So I guess that's two different comparisons, like BBLs in the United States versus BBLs
Elsewhere.
yeah,
Abroad.
because I know that they can take more out of the country than you can in the United States. Like I know in the United States it says like there's only a certain percent or a certain amount of fat they'll be willing to take out.
Yeah.
And then the other ones they don't abide by that.
And isn't it like in the US you have to be a certain size to begin with kind of thing
Now
too?
I think that is part I think that might be universal from my understanding because I hear people having to gain weight if they want like the original BBL type of look that they had to gain weight in order to have fat to put there.
Yeah.
Like enough fat or whatever. So I think that part is true. But then I know that there's a thing called skinny BBLs too, where it's like you're not as big as other people, but you just want a little extra. Like it's not giving Kim K like drastic.
It's a little
Or
zhuzh.
Nikki, yeah.
Mm.
But I think Nikki did butt shots. I don't know. I kind of find the thing a little bit fascinating because I'm just kind of trying to figure out why are people dying. So that's why I find it more fascinating.
Right.
Because I'm just like, we do like open heart surgeries and we die from BBLs.
Right.
Like I'm like, I feel like we could do this better.
In the year 2023, our Lord.
Yeah, so I don't know. But if y'all know, y'all have some more information, y'all let us know. I'll be looking because I'm kind of curious, but I don't know like full details. So if y'all know more things about the whole liposuction, BBL type stuff and why people are dying. And then I'm like, is it because they're not taking care of it after? Yeah, I'm like, I don't know exactly what it is.
It's a really strenuous like regimen from what I understand. Like I've seen a lot of people on TikTok or whatever like recovering from BBLs, and it's like a lot of compression stockings and a lot of like laying on your stomach and a whole bunch of other crap. But it's like a lot of specific minutia and a lot of like really intense details. So I mean, I could see that there would be room for error.
Right, and then you aren't even anything close to medically trained. And maybe if you did go to one of them houses where they do it, they're only there for a couple of days or a week, and you're having to do this for like a while.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying, to me, you would think if you know the, first off, if you don't have enough money, don't do it. Like, make sure you have money for the before, during, and after type of thing. Yeah, and then go ahead and do it. Like, especially if you already gonna be risking your life, you want to like decrease the
possibility,
the
likelihood.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe you need double like of what you thought you might, so that you could have the proper care. You need to be able to be off from work for this amount of time. You know?
Yeah.
Like I was like, if I did it, I would really just be planning out to a T. Like, okay, I'm gonna be out for this many months. Let me save enough so I can like not have to worry about my bills and all this stuff.
And
like,
actually rest and recover.
Yeah, properly. Because like we were talking about, people out here dying. So I don't know what y'all doing. But if y'all let me know. Yeah, let me know down in the comments.
Stop that.
Because I don't understand quite yet.
No.
So now we're gonna read. I think let's do 2 conversation cards. I think I'll do one and you do one.
Okay. I'll grab it. How do you connect with your patients?
Well,
mine are babies.
I knew, don't be like that. Don't be like that.
Okay, fine. Okay, on a serious note though, I mean like with the actual babies, seriously, like, spending time with them. Like a lot of babies, what people don't realize is like just because you see patients in the NICU or whatever, you're like, oh, well, they have parents. You would think that they would have like guaranteed visitors every day. Because I know I can't speak from experience, but in my mind, I know if my kid was in the NICU, I would want to be there like all day, every day. But a lot of kids don't even get visited by their families for like days and weeks on end. So, like just making sure like after I'm done feeding them or whatever, like giving them time to like cuddle and rest and spend time or whatever. And then like spending time with their parents when they are there. Those are not my patients, but those are like, those are patients' family. So, connecting with them is different. Like it's really different. I haven't made a whole bunch of like really close family connections yet. Like where I'm like sad to see the family go or the baby go. But the ones that I have made connections with is just from like really just being myself and talking to them and like being like I don't know, being me. Like I think that it's difficult in certain settings to like connect with certain people or connect with patients' families just because like y'all come from such different backgrounds and like outside of this we would not speak.
That's
like
true.
You are country you're country and podunk and I'm just not, your vibe is not my vibe. But I mean like families that you can like vibe with, it's easier to connect with them. Like there was a mom that I had that was a nurse, and I remember like she would just talk to me about like her work day or whatever, and I would talk to her about my work day, and we just kind of like bouncing ideas off of each other. And like we would bounce ideas off of each other about her baby's care. Like you're like, oh well, what do you think about this one, this, that, and the third or whatever? And she would say like, oh well, based on my experience in adult care, blah, 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 or whatever. And like Just being able to have like find something in between us.
A commonality.
Exactly. Finding a commonality and like growing or picking on that.
Yeah. I was gonna say to your point about the parents not visiting, I wonder if it's like not necessarily postpartum depression and stuff like that, but like if it's like traumatic for them.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the reason why they don't come up. Because in my mind, I would like to think I'd go every day, but every day is a lot. And wherever you live at, depending on where you live at, driving up there, paying for parking, which I guess like sounds like stupid stuff because it's your kid.
Right.
But I'm like, depending on how everything plays out, like real life stuff, like who's working and car
Right.
situations
Right.
and things like that. I'm like, I could kind of see how that could kind of happen. And then you know that your baby is safe because they're in the hospital. So it's not like they're just with anybody or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I guess it's because they're sick. So then you would expect for people to come. Because I'm like, people drop off their kids at daycare, like.
Right. And so then, but seriously, that brings up like a really serious conversation that I've had with some of the older nurses. Because they're like kind of almost, I don't know how to describe it, like kind of grudgy towards the parents. They're like, oh, well, this is free daycare for them. They're on Medicaid or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know if I feel that passionately about it. Like,
it's just too much. Because I just think, I'm like, for them to end up in the NICU is already a traumatic experience.
That's a lot.
So, like, whatever you have to go through to deliver the baby and then for them to, get there, it's like, I feel like I might be traumatized. I don't know.
I feel like that's fair. I mean, but here's also the thing, though. It's catch-22 to begin with, the conversation about, like, whether or not you're going to visit the kid. Like, yes, I understand the nurse's standpoint where, like, you need to come see your child. You need to be,
I feel like you
involved in their
should.
care.
I was just saying that. I ain't saying don't go up there. I feel like you should go up there. I'm talking about more so going up there every day.
Yeah.
I could see how, like, it's like a couple of times a week is all I'm saying.
Yes.
You trying to muster up the strength. First, I just delivered the baby. I'm not well. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's serious.
Like,
though.
I'm like, it's a lot that goes into it that I think I'm thinking about. Like, and then having to, like, or you might feel guilty because you didn't give a healthy baby, like, or is there something that I did wrong?
Right.
Like, I just feel like I could see a lot of different things and how it could end up like that.
Right. And that's what I'm saying about the catch-22. Like, I see the nurse's standpoint, I see the mom's standpoint.
People are just so judgmental.
Yes, I think it's really easy to not be in a situation and to judge somebody based on a situation you have never been in. I think it's easy for people who aren't like cognizant or like really thinking about the things that they say. I think it's easy to stand on a place of judgment.
Like, just because you wouldn't do it doesn't mean like you have to criticize someone that's doing it. You don't know like what's going on or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, and even if it's like not a reason that you feel like is credible, that's their reason. So it's just like, well, who are you to argue with that?
Well, even if you don't agree, guess what? You still gonna be there taking care of that baby by yourself.
Well, yeah. So it's like why are you speculating and doing all this for nothing? Yeah, right. I don't know. It's just like that's just a lot of different things I think in the hospital setting in general because people do that with for older adults. I feel like people don't come see you sometimes is because you was trifling to somebody.
To some extent, probably.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like a lot of times, like, why is your family not messing around with you? It's like, so you did something, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it anyway.
Yeah.
Because they'll tell you stories and they'll be like, I probably should have did this better. I should have did this or whatever. So with them, I'm kind of like, now you
get what you get.
Yeah, it's like that, is that Erickson's? Denial, the guilt or something. It's something towards the end of life where it's like, you want to start, like, not paying respects, but you want to get back connected to people that you wronged in some type of way.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's like
psychological
aging versus
tool.
Something. I know what you're talking about.
It's something like that. Yeah, it's something to the effect where, now... But I don't understand how people don't think they're going to die. Like, I'm like, did you just think, like... You didn't think about... They don't think about how they impact people before it gets to this point? Yeah. Y'all ain't talked to 15 years, and now you sick in the hospital, and now you thinking about it?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. I don't get it either. I mean, honestly, and I think something Brother Lee said that really stuck with me, like, is, like, it's a lifelong commitment to improving yourself for the betterment of others. Like, that should be our goal at the end of the day. Like, It's not self-centered. Like, you, life is literally not about you. It's about the people around you and the impact that you can make. So I don't understand being up in the
Well, I
hospital bed by
know,
myself.
okay, I know some of it has to do with pride, but I'm just like,
how prideful can you be?
yeah, I'm just like,
to what end?
because sometimes it's like stupid stuff too. I'm just like, and I don't really believe in the getting along to get along thing. So if it's like, okay, if it's a situation where I know I've heard, like, listening to different people on YouTube and stuff where they have a situation with their families where, like, somebody, like, physically violated somebody else or something of the sort.
Yes.
And then nobody wants to speak out against it. Okay, I can see how you're at odds with your family because of that. Because I was a child and you didn't protect me.
Yes.
That I get. Or,
Yes.
like, people being abandoned and stuff like that. But, like, sometimes it's, like, little stuff. Like, little stuff. And it just be like, y'all couldn't have talked about that?
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't understand how you die, like, being angry at somebody over that little stuff, or you'll be, ostracized or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, like you said, like, it's this amount of time. Or even like with me, okay, I'll just make peace with whatever the situation is. Maybe whatever little stupid stuff it is, we'll just never agree on it, and it's fine. We can't just like move past that and just agree to disagree. We'll never look at that the same,
Right.
But that's fine.
Right. But I think that comes with maturation, and I know, like, people don't like to be in an uncomfortable place for growth, because that's where it happens, is in the uncomfortable place. And so if you're like, I want to live a comfortable life, I want to live a soft life, then why would you push yourself? So, I mean, I get the logic. It's just not for me.
I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it just is a choice on how you want to live your life.
I guess.
And what your priorities and values are. Y'all don't care about your family. Don't care about them, I guess.
Right, but don't come complaining to me about it, though.
But they always
always
do. So that's why I'm like, so you have a problem with it. So why don't you fix
something?
It? Yeah, you just sit there wherever you're at. I can't sit. I have to fix. Or we got to come to some type of resolution. I can't just stay like this. I'll be at peace on my end. However you are, that's your responsibility. So my card, I've already talked about this before with y'all. Tell me about a time you had to advocate for yourself or a patient. I advocate like dang near every day. Yes. I'm tired of advocating.
Yes. Yes.
I haven't advocating in a bit though, but because I be like, I feel like I'm about to physically fight somebody. And why am I having to work this hard to protect my patient? This is what you're supposed to do. This is your job.
Our patient.
Right, our patient.
Heavy on the our patient.
But not only that, your patient, you the one with the medical degree, and you the one that could give me the order. So I don't understand why you're just not doing what you're supposed to do. Why am I having to fight this hard?
Yes.
So I'm trying to think. I don't think I've had to do anything recently because I've been in the ER. Like for the last 3 months, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it's like, give me this blood pressure, man. I don't think it's really gotten to the point where like I need to advocate. I feel like I've had to do that more on the floor, and they like think that this patient's been doing fine the whole time, and I'm telling them that they're not fine, and they're like, oh well, I just saw them. So the not more recent, but the one that always comes to my mind is that patient that I had that the family member wanted to become a DNR. Have I ever told you that story?
I don't think so.
I know I told y'all, but if this is y'all first time listening, or if it's not, act like you ain't heard it before. This is like the biggest one because this one I was like, what the heck? I think I was like 1 year into nursing, if that. And one of my patients, she didn't look good. And this is when I used to work night shift. You know how sometimes you don't know how the patient go be because you don't know them yet. So like for the first couple of hours, you're trying to figure out like, is this normal for them to?
Yes, like is their baseline?
Yeah, I'm like, is this how they always were? Or is this how they was like earlier today? Or is this like new? Because it's like a lot of that will tell you what you need to do. Because I'm like, if this just started happening 30 minutes ago, it's like, okay. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, but if they've been like this all day and the doctor's seen them, then cool.
That's what it is.
That's how their normal is for today. So it's kind of like that. So I couldn't get a gauge on what it was, and her sister was at the bedside, luckily. So I was able to ask her, like, when she start, like,
doing this.
Yeah, so she wasn't, I don't think I remember her being responsive. Like, I don't think she, like, verbally would speak back. But she was alert. Like, her eyes were open. and like she's there, but she's not verbalizing anything. So I'm like, okay, well what's that? Is that new?
Right.
I can't remember what her baseline was, but anyway, I could just tell like something wasn't right. I think that towards the middle of the shift, I think it was her blood pressure and stuff start going crazy, and it was like, what the heck? So then she had all them different doctors on her case. So this is back when I didn't really know who I'm supposed to call about what. Like, am I supposed to call nephrology managing this or is cardiology managing this? Like, which
Right.
one is I supposed to call? I think I called one of them. They gave me orders. I did the orders, and then while this all was transpiring, was that IMU at this point? I can't remember, but I know we had the ICU doctor come up and evaluate her, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna keep an eye on her," type of thing. So in the meanwhile of all of that, the sister's telling me like, if this doesn't go well or whatever, I know she doesn't want to be like a full coach. She would want to be a DNR.
Right.
She wouldn't want all this stuff. So then I had to get the intensivist back up there to explain to her like
There were no written.
what the stuff is. Like,
Yeah.
are you sure you want her to be in DNR? This means this, and that. Is that what you agreed to, type of thing?
Right.
And they're like, yeah. So then he told me, call the attending, let them know, and then they have to put the order in because that's not his patient.
Right.
He just was like the doctor on site to talk to them about it.
Right.
So I called the attending, and he was like, oh, well, what happened with this patient? She was fine earlier this morning. Where is this coming from? Why do they want to all of a sudden be DNR? And I explained the situation to him, and he was like, what did you do to her, type of thing. And
What?
now I remember that sentence plain. Yeah, because I was just like, what did I do? What do you mean? I remember that sentence like for sure. And then he was like, she was fine earlier, and was like, well, she's not fine now, and this is the situation. The intensivist already came up here and talked to her about this. They want her to be a DNR, so make her DNR. What's the problem? Even if she was fine, if they want to be DNR whenever, you should make them DNR. That's what they want.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. A 30-year-old that's healthy can become a DNR. Like, you don't
Right.
have to. It's not contingent
There's no
on.
rationale. That's
Yeah,
their decision.
I'm like, it's what they want to do. So he was getting on my nerves behind that because he didn't want to do it. And I'm like, how can you tell somebody no, they can't be a DNR?
Right.
So this is where the issue came into play, where I had to advocate. And then my charge nurse was no help at that time because she's like one of them ones, oh, I don't want to upset the doctor, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
He's going to yell at me. Okay, girl, who cares about that? If this lady dies tonight, that's gonna be our ass, kind of, or it'll be like way heavily on my conscience because I
Right.
know that they don't want to be full code, and then we'd be doing CPR.
Right.
So at that point, I'd like feel not good about the situation. So anyway, I had the sister there. I'm on the phone with the doctor, and I'm like, her sister's here. She's the POA. You could talk to her yourself.
Yeah.
And I gave her the phone. It's crazy because I'm like arguing with this man in front of her during this time. I felt like that was not professional.
No.
But anyway, I gave her the phone. He talked to her. And then he come back and he talking about, well, I just don't feel comfortable making her a DNR. And I was like, I think I hung up in his face because he was pissing me off. So then I called a different doctor, the one who was doing the blood pressure regulation. And I explained to him the situation, and he did it. To my knowledge, if I remember correctly. This was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, he gave me the order for it, and we were able to put it in.
Yeah.
3 hours later, she died.
Yeah. Peacefully. No CPR, no extra measures, the way she wanted to go.
Yeah, so that one always stuck with me because I was like, what if I hadn't done that? It would have been a mess in there. We would have been doing CPR and doing all this stuff on her, and then it was like, who knows how that all would have played out. But she didn't stay alive much longer after that. I was like, I could tell like something wasn't right with her. But that was one time I had to advocate for a patient. That's the one like I always remember because I think maybe because it was early on and because it was so dramatic.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I have to fight? I'm like having to call these doctors, and my charge nurse didn't want to help me. It was just like, it was too much going on. So that's one story I think I'll always remember because that's always the first one that come to mind. I have a whole bunch of other incidences too. Like I said, I feel like we do this dang near every day, but that's one of the biggest
More
ones.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Patient advocacy is like seriously an everyday thing, especially like at my hospital too. We do daily rounds for our kiddos, and so it's like every day you have an opportunity to like speak up and say something. Like if you have
Yeah.
a concern, address it. And so like I just that and I don't have anything to that extent. All of my kids are full codes.
I got a lot. I was like, that's the biggest one I think. But I have a couple other stories, and I'm like, girl, I don't want to be like this. Like,
That's not the way I want to live.
no, I don't want to have to fight every time I come to work.
Yes.
I'm like, why am I fighting this hard?
Yeah.
The job is already enough. Like, now I got to fight you too. Like, it's
Yes.
just, it's too much.
Yes. And we're supposed to be on the same team. I think that's what really blows me. Like,
Yeah.
the whole magnet institution thing, like, and being like, what is it, the hospital for nurses' voices or whatever. I mean, it's nice in theory, it really is, but like, as a nurse, I don't feel like I'm heard as much as they make it seem like I am. Like, you're in charge of the patient's care, everything falls back on us. I'm like, I'm not, I'm over here fighting for orders. Sometimes they get put in, sometimes they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's me, I'm wrong.
Yeah, and then every time something doesn't go the way it's supposed to, then it's your fault.
Yeah.
I'm like, how?
Yeah, and I don't get credit for the good stuff.
That part, yeah, yeah. Yes, you get the short end of the stick.
The short is.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just like, But with that being said, we're going to move into our topic for today's episode. So, as I mentioned before, I had to bring Alee back. I felt like because I need an update and I want her to talk to y'all too because our experiences weren't the same. Like everyone's new grad experience is not the same, but I know some people have a harder time than others, and everybody's different, so everybody transitions differently on the floor. Like some people seem like a mess on orientation, and they get out on their own and they're fine.
Yeah.
Then it's like some people that's looks like they'll be okay on orientation. They was like putting on the facade or something, and then they get on their own, and it'd be like, well, what the hell happened? So
come out and die on the floor.
Yeah. So first, I want to know how was it transitioning from being on orientation to like taking the full load on your own?
I want to thank God. I want to stop and thank God for allowing me to stay where I am for the amount of time I've been here. Because at the time, I think the last time I was here, if I recall correctly, I think I was in a place where I was just like, I don't care what happens here. I don't care how long I've been here. We can put on my resume. We cannot put on my resume, but I must go. Like, I don't care if you count it towards my experience. I don't care what you do. I'm going to apply to a new grad position elsewhere, and it'll be fine. I'm going to figure it out. Like, I was just in a different headspace. I was in a completely different headspace. Like, the people that were my age were being, like, catty, and, like, it was too much. My preceptor was being so super condescending and snarky, and it was more than I could bear. I didn't know I was gonna make it, but after I got off orientation, my life got so much better. Like, and also by the end of orientation, to give you like some perspective, in the beginning of my orientation, I had the really catty, mean, nasty, snarky preceptor or whatever, right? And then I had this really cool, like, laid back preceptor, but I was with the snarky one most of the time. Okay, so then the really kind of like cool layback one, her father-in-law passed away. Mm-hmm. Her father-in-law passed away. So she went MIA for like weeks. So I was only with the snarky preceptor, no relief. Okay, so one day my preceptor, the snarky one, couldn't teach me or couldn't like precept me that day or whatever. So she used a replacement. And so I had met the replacement. The replacement was really nice for the one day that I knew her. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just go ahead and swap out the one who's been MIA with that one. Come to find out, they're like work wives. My snarky preceptor and the new one I had just swapped for. So I was stuck with her basically, even like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it made it worse somehow. It made it so much worse somehow. And so then at the end of the orientation, maybe like a month before I got off orientation, I told my educator, I was like, this is just not working. Like, I have tried. It feels like I'm being like almost harassed at this point. Like, anything I do, like, she still wants to pull back to the bad thing that I did. There's no grace. And I'm kind of tired of it or whatever. So they put me with one of my charge nurses. as my preceptor towards the end of my orientation, and that made my life so much better. Like, she's a know-it-all, and she like is literally like having the walking intranet. I don't know if your hospital has internet, but like a walking intranet.
Yeah,
Like,
because at first when you said know it all, I'm like, you actually want to be with the know it all.
you do, you do, but like,
It's even if they get on your nerves,
that's the thing.
It doesn't matter. You want to be with the know it all.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So like, it's learning how to like, even though they get on your nerves, just taking the information for the information and calling it a day. So yeah, she was annoying, but I feel like I learned so much in that month. It made my life so much better. Like, now that I'm on my own, I understand a lot more than like what I was understanding prior to.
Yeah, pause. Yeah, you want to be with that one. I had different 3. No, I don't know. I thought this wasn't normal at the time, and then I had to backtrack and then realize that was normal. I didn't know. I thought you were supposed to have one person the whole time. They didn't tell me. It seemed unorganized, I guess, because it is. But that's normal for it to be that way. Yeah, so I was supposed to be on night shift, but I was oriented on days. First of all, I didn't understand that. I'm like, why? But I know now that they're trying to expose you to more things and have an understanding for like how day shift goes. So when you own nights, you can understand why day shift ain't finished their shit. Partially. That, and then just it's different paces just so you can be exposed, like I said. So then I had one person there. So then I went to nights. Then I had another person, and she was on my ass. Like, for real, for real. So strict. So strict. No, like, for real. It was just like, because I'm not bad, so I just like, girl, relax. Like, it's not that serious. Where were you at, Lainey? I was in the room changing a patient. Like,
I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
It took you this long to do it? Yes, I had to get her off the bed to the bedside commode, and I couldn't just leave her there, could I? She was like, oh, okay. No, because I think she was like, why didn't you finish med pass yet? I was like, I was helping somebody go to the restroom.
Right. Like,
she was on me like that, but like she was also a know-it-all. Yeah. And because of that, like I said, that carries over. You would rather that than somebody who's not on you at all.
Yes.
And don't teach you thoroughly, because a lot of that stuff that you learn in orientation carries over throughout your nursing career. Like how you address patients, how you follow up with doctors. Like, it makes you very, I guess, detail oriented, you could say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Like, the amount of information that she knows encourages me to try and like continue to be knowledgeable. Like, I went and bought a neonatal intensive care book because I was like, I must know what you know. Like, because the next time you ask me a question, I'm gonna have the answer, and it's gonna be right.
And because of that, I've talked about this before, and you probably can tell now too. Yeah. I feel like there's different types of nurses. I feel like there's nurses who read the orders and do the orders, and that's it. Yeah. I feel like there's nurses who do the orders and know why the orders are there for. Right. Like how they connect. Yes. Like what's going on physically with this patient. Yes. And this is why I'm doing that order for this. Right. Then I think there's the nurses who's beyond that, where it's like they're anticipating. Like, we're doing this and this for this patient, but we also need to be doing this. Right. Or this could be a possibility coming down the line, or I need to watch out for this, and that. Right. So I just feel like it's like different stages. And some people just choose to be stuck at level 1.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really scary place to be. Because,
why would you be doing? You don't even know what you're doing.
No, because you're not in charge of your practice at that point. Somebody else is in charge of your practice. And like Lanicia and I already said, something else is coming down the line. And when it does come down the line, it's going to be on you. And so, like, you're just doing stuff for toots and gigs. And then when stuff hits the fan, it's game over. Like, and you could have been in charge of things.
You could have got ahead of it. Yeah.
Had you stayed proactive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen that in real life.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, yikes.
Yeah, yikes on bikes. Like,
because some patients, it's like, well, how did the patient end up like this? And it's like, well, 24 hours ago, their blood pressure was this. Right. And no one addressed it. No. Like, it's like, it really be common sense stuff sometimes, too.
Yes.
So it's just, like, crazy. So I'd encourage everybody to get to level 3.
At least a minimum of level 2.
At least.
At least, like, maybe you can anticipate things. I will say, like, I'm still not in a place where I'm like, oh, I
But you're
know
also
exactly what's
new.
exactly.
Yeah, that's different. It comes with
Yeah.
time too before you
Yeah.
can get to level 3.
Yeah.
But and then some stuff changes. Everybody's bodily functions are not the same. So
No.
even if you anticipate and don't happen, at least you knew what to look out for.
Right.
So I think it takes time to get to level 3, but I feel like that should be everyone's goal because a lot of the times doctors have all these patients. It's kind of go back to advocating for your patient.
Yeah.
They have all these patients. Okay, they can't remember everybody. It's too many people.
Yeah.
We can all barely remember our people.
Yeah.
Like, you
However
know,
many
so imagine them coming in and out for like 2 seconds. Like, you know.
Right.
So think about it that way too. So you literally, like they say, we're the eyes and ears or whatever. Literally in the hands.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
We
like
do it all.
right. So you have to think, like you have to get to that point so that you could be like, hey, this patient's doing this. You think we should get a chest x-ray or something?
Right.
Like, even if it doesn't come to be anything, at least you thought to do it and it's done and it's negative. Okay, so now we don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yesterday, I had a patient who was on ganciclovir. First of all, I never heard of the drug. So I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and take it to the lexicon. So we took it to the lexicon. It's like a cancer drug, 1st of all. And so I'm like, what are we doing with a chemotherapy drug here in the NICU? So we're giving it for CMV or whatever, but we're giving it through a PIV, a neonatal PIV. I don't, if there's any viewers that are working in the NICU, like, their veins are infinitesimal. They're tiny. Like, it's gonna blow. It's gonna blow. And at this point, like, you're asking for, what is it called? God.
Oh, the extra no,
Not extra, but
not infiltration.
yes, infiltration.
Okay.
You're begging for an infiltration. You're begging. And, like, the baby's bodies are already only so big. Like, you're asking for, like, a huge blowout. You're giving however many milliliters and it's gonna blow, right? So I had the PIV. I utilized it or whatever in my shift for the ganciclovir. But, like, I'm asking the doctor, I'm like, so what's the determining factor for us to get a pick instead of the PIV? Like, why are we not doing that right now?
Mm-hmm.
And so after the rationale, of course, it made sense that we're doing the PIV in like till a certain time or whatever. But, like, if you hadn't asked, you wouldn't have known. And also, like, why wouldn't you ask with the, like, chance of an infiltration happening or with the risk of, like, infection from going in and out of the hub all the time? Like,
Yeah,
there's too many unknowns.
And then with the asking, that's knowledge you can gain for later. So if it should come up again, you could be like, hey, it's been this many days. Do you want to consider putting a PICC line in this patient?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've had to do that before, like with TPN, because for the longest I didn't know TPN could be administered via regular IV too, but it's only for a certain amount of time frame.
Yeah, and it has to be a certain kind of formulary too.
Yeah, because I was always just so used to it being PICC lines and central lines. So one time I saw it through a peripheral IV, I'm like, why don't this patient got a different line?
Yeah.
But then I learned it, like, I think it's like 24 hours or something, 48, something like that. I hadn't had to deal with it in a while, but I know, now you know, like, it's like, okay, how long this patient been on this? Like,
there is a reason. Yes.
Yeah.
And you can clock people too. You can be like, okay, the patient's been on this for X, Y, and Z amount of time. And now?
Right. What's the plan? Are they going to be doing this long term? Are they going to get a PEC tube? Are we trying to wean them off of it? Like, yeah, where are we going with this?
Exactly.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So back to your know-it-all preceptor.
No, we're done with the know-it-all preceptor. We're done. Like, here on the outside world by myself, she's the best resource. Like, and all from biting my tongue on orientation. Like, because, like, biting my tongue, her asking me if I knew the specific, like, best place to put the pulse oximeter, like the little red light or whatever. Like, all from just biting my tongue and being like, no, please show me where to put the pulse oximeter. That would be great. Like, and now I have, like, the best resource that you can ask for on the unit. She's been there for eons and eons and eons, and nursing is her life. Like, she gives up everything and anything to be there on the unit.
That's good. You need somebody, too, because I'm not.
Like, like, somebody was like, Alee, are you interested in overtime? I said, come back for a fourth day? Me? Another 12 hours? 48 hours?
It's not that bad once you start doing it. It seems like 3, Honestly,
Let me tell you.
depending on how you do your days, it feels the same.
I haven't done a 3 in a row since I've been here. I'm not picking up no overtime.
I mean, don't do it
I just
now, but I'm just saying that if you
later.
do, it ends up feeling
Yeah.
like 3. I'm like, why haven't I done this before? But sometimes you do need the extra off day.
Yeah.
But when you pick up overtime, sometimes it literally feels like the same as 3 in a week.
Yeah.
So how was it? So you feel like that really helped you transition to the floor better?
Yes, it helped me
Having that
transition to the
preceptor.
floor better. And like now that I'm on the floor by myself, I feel like I can manage my own stuff. I think that having somebody else like in the background, kind of like trying to like backseat drive my practice was hurting me in the long run. I think towards the end of orientation, I was ready to be off of orientation. And I mean, not to say like you'll ever really know when you're ready to come off of orientation, but I started getting like an antsy feeling, like I don't need you really anymore. Like it would be nice to be able to like pick up a phone and text you and be like, hey, what do you think about this? But to have you like here with me 24/8,
It
that's
kind of reminds me of like a teenager or something. You know, when you're
yes,
ready to start moving out. Okay, I'm ready to get out in the world on my own. Like, I'll call
I,
you if I need you. Like, I'm ready to go to college, mom.
exactly enough. Like I'm a big girl. I'm a big girl. I'll do it myself. So yeah. Now that I'm managing my own time and everything, like things go a lot more smoothly. And it again, I think that it gives me room to connect with patients a lot better, or like patients' family members, because like I don't have to worry about like you liking what I'm saying or like you agreeing with what I'm saying or how I'm saying it. It's just me out here like talking like
Mm-hmm.
fluidly with another grown adult person. So it's a much better feeling. Like my educator walked by me in the hallway the other day. She said, "You enjoying your freedom?" I said, "Surely is."
Well, I told you that too, because I was like, now I'm real loose now.
Yeah.
But I think that's different because, like I said, the years of experience. So then you can become a little looser. But I'm like, now I go to work. I like do my stuff, listen to my podcast. Like I really be living my life, like doing the same things I do at home, but making money, and then looking at my patients in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, y'all good? All right, but I'm in ER too, so it's not like I really have to watch them that hard.
No.
Since
No.
I'm just holding them down there. Most of them ready to go up to the floor, and when they be worried about when they go eat and when they get in their own room. I'm like, girl, probably in the afternoon.
Right.
Let me know if you're in
Maybe
any
the
pain.
evening.
Yeah, let me know if you're in any pain. So like, I'll come back and see y'all in an hour.
Right. No. Ours is so different. Like since we're in the pod, like you're constantly being watched. Cause like I don't know how else to describe it other than saying like it's a room full of babies. It's just a big room full of children. Like we have 2 desks or whatever inside of like one podlet, I guess you could call it. There's 2 desks and then there's children on either side. And when
Yeah, I
there's
think I've been
parents,
over there before.
yeah,
Yeah, those are good and bad because then when you are sitting down and not really doing anything, somebody's always like, "Why aren't you doing
what?
anything?" It's
Yes,
like,
yes,
girl, get off my back,
yeah.
please.
I I haven't been clocked yet though, so I'm like it's okay.
I'm like, one time I was in this ER because they're pretty okay, but I do think they say something, but they haven't said nothing to me about it, so I don't care. But in one of the other ERs, I was the only hold nurse down there. But first of all, I'm not a real ER nurse, so I don't know. Why do you think I'm gonna help you? What can I help you with? I don't understand people who think I'm about to do their job for them because I finished all what I had to do with my patients.
Oh yeah,
So it was one of them situations. Like all my patients were good. Ain't nobody calling. Don't nobody need to go to the restroom. Don't ain't nobody in pain. I feel like if I meet all those standards, okay, like leave me alone. Like
yeah.
I'm
If I
like
charted it, it's done.
yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
everything is charting is done. I chart like so quick. It's not even funny. And I'm like I said, there's not much to do in the ER because they're waiting for a room upstairs. So a lot of their orders aren't even put in.
Right.
And then sometimes if they are put in, like I said, I've already done it. So I was like sitting down or whatever, watching something on my phone. They're like, Lane just always sitting there. She not helping nobody. Why I gotta help you? Y'all got a whole ER staff here. Get one of them to help you. I'm not
Get
even
somebody
really
else to
gotta
do
be
it.
down here. I don't have to be here. You could be having these patients by yourself. That's what I don't be understanding, especially
But-
since I'm the help. Like, I'm helping you, not
Yeah.
have them.
Well, also, if you wanted help, just say that. Don't come over here complaining about my work ethic.
Well,
I got my job. I do my job.
What was funny,
My bills are
it
paid.
wasn't even the nurses. It was the secretary. Why are you so nosy,
Why are you
damn?
in my business?
I'm telling you. But I'm like, it's not like I won't, like, okay, if you ask me, oh, can you help change this patient, or can you help me get blood?
Yeah.
Okay, most of the time I do say yes, especially if I'm really not doing anything. I'll be like, all right, like, even if I don't want to do it, I'll be like, all right, that's fine.
Right.
But sometimes I'm like, you the ER nurse, you'll probably get the blood way faster than I am.
Right.
Like, let's be honest. So I don't know why you asking me, because that's what
Right.
they do that, like, so many times in a day.
Yeah.
So honestly, your IV skills probably better than me. Your blood, your Foley placement, all that's probably going to be way quicker than
what
me.
I got.
Yeah, I like, to be honest. So you should just do it. That's how I feel about it. If you want me to pass the med, let me know. That's probably the same speed.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it probably won't help you other than just taking one thing off your plate and you don't have to worry about it. But I'm like, you probably could do it way faster than I can.
Yeah.
But with blood, I'm pretty good at blood. So I'm like, okay, I'll go in there and look. If I don't think I could get anything, I'll just come back and let you know. But like Foley's and stuff, unless if it's not a man, I'd be like, let me see.
Yes.
I gotta look first, and I'm like, honestly, I feel like I guess every time. Most of the time I get it, but I'm like, I'm still not sure. And I just thought it was so stupid in nursing school when they were like, oh, people can't do Foley's well. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
But no, once you see people anatomies, you'll understand why.
Well, also, they have like this dummy in nursing school that's like wide open. It's literally just like a vagina
There's so many different factors, yes. Because then you got your old dementia patients that can't stay still. Y'all gotta basically strap them down.
Yeah.
Then you have your morbidly obese patients where it's just like I can't.
You have to put your elbows down almost to like.
No, you have to get.
In there.
No, you have to get 4 people to help you. I've had it happen. And a flashlight. Like, it's just not.
Or you have people with like complicated anatomy. Like everything doesn't look the same on every person.
Or you have somebody that hip is messed up and they can't open their leg like that.
Wide enough. Yeah.
So, like, we just named 5 different examples of what would make it complicated. Like,
and I have babies, so that's 6.
Yeah, so it's just like, no. Now, men, other than the prostate being too big, most of the time they're all right.
Yeah.
But
even with babies.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. No.
It's a guess every time. I'd be like, oh, I got the flashback. Cool. Got
it.
I'm like, I know what I'm supposed to do. Now, how is it going to happen? Mm-hmm. Don't know. Then I feel like when you're new sometimes, too, like, stuff is like luck. Like, it just so happened that you get it. Not that you really just know, like, it's that.
You were so good.
Yeah. And then I feel like once you, like, get more experience, you be like, I don't think I'm that good at all, actually.
Like, I don't think that this is my gift.
Yeah, I'm like, the percentage of me getting it right. I actually get it right more than I get it wrong, but I'm still just like, okay, let's see.
I had to call, like, my charge nurse and a preceptor over to my bed space the other day. My charge nurse came and harassed me about letting the preceptor and her orientee do the cath on the girl or whatever. And I was like, this is not really like a good experience for an orientee. It's going to be pretty defeating to come over here. The baby has difficult anatomy. You going to bring her over here. She not going to get it. And then now she's going to be like, oh, I'm not good at this. But I'm like, it's not that you're not good at it. She has difficult anatomy and it's your first time. Anyways, so she tried it. I tried it. And then the charge nurse tried it. Could nobody get it? I said, well, the lab is canceled. The lab is over. I gave the baby sucrose before this. I've tried. I've done everything to keep her calm. The lab is over. It's canceled. I called the nurse practitioner, and I texted my boyfriend about it. I was like, I tried to get a cath, but it didn't really work out. He was like, well, tell the provider if she wanted so bad, she come get it. I was like, well.
No, that's what we do.
My boyfriend
Sometimes
said it.
We'll, labor and delivery, that's who's really good at catheters.
Yep.
One time we called them, this is night shift again, so it's not days, different. I don't know if you go get somebody. But we called labor and delivery and see if somebody was available. She was able to do it on this like big patient. And that's good too, because you learn different stuff. She had her turn on her side in order to get it. See, they do it all the time too, so they're really good at it.
They do it
so
all
I'd
the
say
time.
labor and delivery and ER. They're really good at it. And then if that doesn't work, urology.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not uncommon. But I didn't know that until I became a nurse. So with that being said, I also was asking you, what are some things that you didn't know before you became a nurse? Like you thought you knew it was gonna go this way, and it just was like, that's not this.
That's a good question. I think that like one of the things that I didn't know before becoming a nurse was like the work life balance kind of thing. Like for me, I feel like I have a pretty good like work life balance. I schedule myself the way I like to be scheduled for the most part, and like it works out. But because I schedule myself the way I want to be scheduled or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um I think that there's people who don't care as much as you think they should, and that's what makes the work life balance difficult. Like you'll have a more difficult day at work based on somebody else's actions, if that makes sense at all. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like yesterday. Yesterday was a really good example. Easter is not a holiday, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like we don't get paid for it. It's none of the other like extra stuff or whatever.
My
But
job does.
must be nice.
Just had to put that out there. And Good
Anyway.
Friday, get PTO. I think they get PTO for Good Friday, and I think Easter is time and a half. But mine is also Christian based, so it makes sense.
We'll talk after the episode
You
about
got to
some
think about who you working
about some
for.
opportunities.
Yeah, so you got to think about who you
Um,
working for. So it makes sense because ours is like a religion type of based organization.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to chat afterwards about some motion. But so people called out yesterday. Like people called out and they gave us extra work because of it. So of course, because like the patients still have to go somewhere, somebody still has to care for them. So like we ended up going from 3 baby assignments to 4 baby assignments. It doesn't mean anything to like most people, and you're thinking like as like a med surg nurse or whatever, and you have 6 patients or whatever the heck. But like as a ICU nurse to have 4 patients is wild. It's just a bit much. Um, all of this to say, like you have to, when I say like work life balance, you have to determine how much you want to put into your career. And it kind of goes back to what Lenicia and I were talking about earlier. Like, if you want to be one of those people that picks up overtime like 3 times a week after you've already done your 3 shifts or whatever, or if you want to like just do your bare minimum, or like how involved do you want to be in your work? My work is not my life. Nursing is not my life. I am a nurse. Like it just so happens to be that I'm a nurse. It's not like my end all be all. And I think that's like I didn't realize that so many people were like either really just half assing it or like completely devoted to it. I
Mm.
didn't realize that coming into this because there's people who like only come to work like 2 times a week, like as opposed to showing up for their shifts. They'll show up like to 2 out of their 3 shifts maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and be perfectly fine with that. Like, and then there's people who will again be there 6 days out of the week. So it's
Yeah.
just it's difficult to gauge.
Yeah. One of the things I didn't know before becoming a nurse was really all the stuff that we did. Because I was one of them people that didn't have anybody in the medical field. Like I was like the first one in it, and like I feel like at this time now, I feel like more people are understanding of what nurses do and all the different roles that they may have and how it's kind of limitless.
Yeah.
But at the time when I was about to become a nurse, like I didn't know any of that. And I'd be like, why do I want to be a nurse? Like literally I just thought nurses wiped ass, which is what a lot of people thought initially. Is like that's all nurses do.
Right.
Unless you knew somebody in the medical field or you've been in a hospital before and you saw it like firsthand.
Yeah.
So I'd always be like, well, why would I want to do that? Because my mom would tell me like, oh, you probably want to be a nurse. Because I always wanted to do something in the medical field, but I thought I wanted to be a doctor. But when I was explaining to her exactly what I wanted to do, she was like, that sounds like a nurse. Little did I know that is what I wanted to do. So yeah, I had no clue because with being a doctor, I wouldn't have had that
Patient interaction.
right that I wanted, and like to actually follow the care type of thing. I guess as a doctor you would, but it's not like on that type of level. They don't really know their people, I feel like. Especially in a
No.
hospital setting. Maybe in a clinic they do. If you've seen somebody for like 30 years or something like that. Like you
Yeah.
have patients like they'll keep coming back like I've been with my OB since I was like 18. Like, so she knows me or whatever, but still not like that. But, you know, it's
She
different
knows of you.
yeah, different doctors, they do have different rapport with their patients or whatever. So that's
Right.
not to say that, but it's completely different as a nurse, like, because you're
Yeah.
with them for such a long, extended period of time.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know, like, all the different career paths we could go into. No clue about that. I didn't know nurses were in ORs. Like, I didn't know nothing. Like, so it's just like I had no clue until I became a nurse. And I was like, oh, we could do that, or we could do that, or like legal
Yeah.
consultants and stuff like that. I had
Yeah.
no clue. Like, it's like literally in every field of every other job, there's a nurse
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. Like at a baseline, you're gonna be able to be like an occupational health nurse at any
Yeah, I'm
job.
like, you could do that anywhere, like,
Yeah.
or even like with employee health type of stuff.
Employee health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because most jobs have like something where they have to keep up with vaccines and all, well, whatever. Like, somebody get hurt on a job type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like it's literally you could just be anywhere you want as a nurse. No clue. Didn't know that at all until I became a nurse. Then I was like, that's why I like to talk to the old people that's been in nurses for a while. I'll be like, so have you been here the whole time? A lot of them have been a lot of places for
Yeah.
like a lot of years. So it's like good to know, like, oh, I can do that too. Okay, cool, bet.
Yeah. I remember when I was first thinking about leaving the NICU, I was like, where do I want to go? I think a nice little Monday through Friday gig would be like really cool or whatever. So I started looking at like a lot of the doctor's offices or whatever. And like I didn't realize like the roles, like how different the roles are in different settings. Like
Yeah.
in the doctor's office, they were like, oh well, basically all you'll be doing is at the desk work or whatever. You'll be doing like what do they say, triaging. They'll be like, oh, you'll do like phone triage or whatever. I'm like, I don't. Okay, never mind. I don't I don't want to be outpatient the way I thought I did. Never mind. Just kidding. Like, mm-mm. There's a different field to each and every job that they have out in the
Yeah.
nursing field. Like it's just not the same. I went to the OR when I was thinking about leaving the NICU. And I could not do that. I couldn't do that at that facility. Like the OR position or whatever, like the way that they have to like chart and their whole system or whatever, and like the medications, that's what really scared me. Cause like you just grabbing medications and signing them out under your name in good faith that the doctor will like, I'm good. It's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah. And I think that one person told me that in the cath lab, they don't even pull stuff like out of the Pyxis or anything. There's no way to like really like know how much you're getting. Like, I think it's just there on the table, or like not exactly the table, but it's like it's just there to administer. And you have to know how much you're giving type of stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's
I'm
not
like,
regulated.
very well. No. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, it's okay. So I agree. Like I don't think that you really know what your specialty is for real until you're like there for real.
No, and we've talked about that before too, off camera. How you don't really know what you want to do really. Like, you have to literally go to the unit to see like what they actually do, to
Yeah.
see if this is something you could probably do. So clinicals help with that. So I mean, if y'all can, but even then in clinicals, you don't know what it feels like to be a nurse yet to really know, but you'll just get an idea. Like, I had an idea off of my clinicals of like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But you really have to think of like what the whole job entails, not like just the good sides or just like the bad sides. Like, you have to have like you need a full picture, or at least an idea enough.
Yeah.
Like, one of my friends, she wanted to do L&D nurses. She thought that's what she wanted to do. So she went to L&D. She did not like it. And that's what she thought she was going to do the whole time.
Yeah.
She didn't like their charting. She didn't like having to watch the monitors the whole time. Like, the actual day to day,
Yeah.
she did not like that. And that's why I was
No.
like, you really got to think about everything. But a lot of times we don't know until we're in it. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
was there anything else you didn't know before becoming a nurse?
I'm trying to think about other things that I didn't know. I guess I didn't really anticipate like the amount of importance that you have, like the relation between the nurses on the floor. Like the better the milieu is, or like the staff relationship, the better like the job can be. Like if you want to ask a question during the interview, just like ask like, well, how long has like the oldest nurse or like the most experienced nurse been on the floor? I think that that speaks a lot to like their retention rate and things like that, and ask them about their retention rate. Like, do you guys have a high like turnover? What does that look like? Because at the end of the day, something else that I didn't realize is like you're interviewing the hospital too. Like they're not just interviewing you because like Lenice was talking about earlier, her hospital is like Christian based. My hospital isn't Christian based, and that's not like a bad thing. It's just like
The
trying
importance on
exactly.
different stuff.
Yeah, like does that place put the same emphasis or like the same effort into the things that you're wanting to put emphasis and effort on? Like, so two separate things. Just like making sure that you have a good working relationship with the other nurses and seeing like how staffing is and how retention is and is it a good like actual working place for you? Because when I was in new grad interviews, I just wanted somebody to pick me. I didn't think about like the actual impact that their like scheduling or that their unit would have on me. So I think that those are all things that I didn't really think about before like entering nursing. And things that I didn't like think about before nursing school are like two totally different things too. It's just it's a lot. It's a lot to consider. There's a lot to like finding the right place for you. It's a lot.
Yeah, it really is. So we're gonna conclude today's episode. So before we get out of here, we're gonna scrub and sip. So we're gonna scrub something we don't like about the nursing community or our job or a negative experience we had on the floor. So is there anything that comes to mind?
Something that comes to mind. I guess maybe like the complaints. Probably the complaints from my coworkers. Like, going back to like the way that they talk about the parents sometimes, I'm like, dang, you kind of going in a little bit too hard. Like you don't know where that person is coming from.
I
You
think
did the
people
most.
get what's it called? Desensitized
Yeah,
to a lot of
fatigue.
things. Yeah, because I think that like you see stuff so much and you've been there so long and it's just kind of like, okay. So I think a lot of times when nurses be talking crap, because we do talk a lot of crap,
Yeah.
it like, and then like we have dark humor too because of
Yes.
the environment and like the things we have to like grin and bear and get through and come back the next day. So I think that we get kind of twisted. But with that being said, we're also called to be compassionate, which is kind of like, yeah, it's odd.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, so I think that that's how a lot of people end up getting like that, but you have to be cognizant enough to be like, all right, you know,
Enough is enough.
that's why you need to go on vacation. I feel like, because I feel
Yes.
like I feel like that helps. I like you worked too much. You need to
Yes.
go home and sleep and come back again another day.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed in myself, I'm like so different. I'm like I'm not as irritated after I have like a certain amount of time off.
Yeah.
Because the patients are the same. They ask the same dumb questions literally every day. It
Yes.
gets annoying after a while hearing the same stuff. Literally, I'll go from one room. When is my room going to be ready? I told you earlier, it's probably not going to be till the afternoon. It's
Right.
10 o'clock. Like,
Is it afternoon?
yeah. And literally, you'll go from room to room and it's the same question. So,
Yes.
honestly, it is annoying when you're the
Yeah.
one dealing with it. But,
Yes.
like, that person don't know that you answered this question 5 times already.
No, so you can't bring that into their room. Your attitude.
Right.
Talk about some. I said da 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 da.
Right. And then since we send people upstairs, then we get the next set. So I might get like 10 people in one day.
Yeah.
They're all asking
I
the same question.
couldn't imagine.
I'm like, just think about it. But they don't know that you've been through that. Like, so
No.
it's not their fault. Like,
No.
you know, and it's not your fault. But that's just why you need to take some time off.
Exactly. Which goes to another complaint I have: staffing. Staffing is a complaint. I genuinely have it. Y'all
Yeah.
need to stay staffed. They float us like all the time. They float us. They float us to Nikki Ford all the time. It's tiring.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, y'all need to go on vacation, sis.
Exactly.
I came back and I was like, you know, you are annoying, but it's okay. I'm fine today.
I can deal with you.
Yeah, it's
I'll
fine.
figure it out.
So what I'm trying to think about what I'm gonna scrub. I need my unit to stay. First of all, they assigned me to this unit for the whole month. I'm like, okay.
For the whole month?
Yeah, but I was fine with it because I'm like, there's some good things about being in the ER. Like I said, it's not as much work to me. In some ways, it is a lot of work because then maybe I am getting blood and blood cultures and stuff like that on each person.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm doing more tasks, but then like sometimes it's not as much continuity of care type stuff, plan of care, trying to make sure, did you go for your test? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? type of stuff? Are we watching the creatinine? Like, it's not as much as that type of stuff. It's just like more like task.
Yeah.
And then, so it's like, it's pros and cons to it. Anyway, I'm supposed to be there for a month. But this last week, they've had the unit closed the whole time because I guess they're actually discharging patients upstairs for once. So, like, from the ER, they're going straight up.
Oh.
So they don't really need us to, like, hold people. Like, sometimes they'll hold people and they'll be there for a certain amount of time. And then they'll get a room upstairs.
Yeah.
So instead of that, I guess they're discharging people at a faster rate than people are coming in. So they could just
Right.
send them straight up. So they don't really have a need for the hold. So they've been trying to figure out what to do with us. And I'm always a fan of send me home. I'm fine. I promise. I don't want to work. Some people want to work.
Yeah.
Like, this is like what we talked about, that work-life
Yes.
balance. Some people
Yes.
do not want to go home. They don't want to use their PTO.
No.
And if they don't want to use their PTO, like, they just don't want to go home. Send me
Yeah.
home.
I'm some people. Like, if we miraculously are overstaffed somehow,
Send me home.
don't send me home. I just, please, it's okay. Thank you.
No, send me home. I didn't want to be here anyway. I promise. It doesn't matter how good of a mood I woke up in. I'll find something else to do with my day. Please send me home. So I'm scrubbing. Well, actually, I guess that'd be my sip. Because the last time I got sent home, I called the OA and I was like, I was really trying to figure out how to phrase it because I didn't want to throw the other people under the bus because honestly, they didn't really need to be there.
Yeah.
They weren't doing, I didn't have patients that whole day.
Yeah.
I left at like 1. We didn't help nobody. I didn't have
Right.
no patients. We were literally just sitting there.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to throw them under the bus. They was basically getting a free paycheck.
Right.
But it's like 4 of us doing nothing. We
Yeah.
all could have went home, to
That's
be
a
honest.
lot.
I know. Because they
That's
didn't
a
have
lot.
they didn't have any needs upstairs. So everybody upstairs was staffed.
Yeah.
And then the ER had a low census. I think because of the holiday weekend.
Yeah.
But literally, they were getting paid to do nothing.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't just not do nothing for the whole
No.
day. So that's
well,
why
for 12 hours that's the really big thing. Like,
Yeah, I
12
said I
hours is
can't
a
do that.
long time to be doing nothing.
So I stayed until 1. Like, everybody took an hour lunch break. It's like that. Like, we weren't doing anything. I'm telling you. I didn't go into a patient room the whole day. They had us stocking like the carts. Like, there was nothing to do. So I called the OA and I was like trying to figure out how to phrase it without throwing them under the bus because they wanted to stay.
Yeah.
That's fine. I understand.
Yeah.
I just can't do this.
Right. I
So,
can't work under these kind of conditions.
Yeah, I figured it out how to say it. I was like, oh, something about the census or something. And if you were considering sending somebody home, I'd like to volunteer to go home. That's kind of how I said it.
Yeah.
So she sent me home. So I'm sipping to that. But I'm scrubbing them other days at work because one of them days I didn't need to be there once again. And I'm just like, why are you trying to find me work to do? Aren't y'all supposed to be saving money? Like, I'm just not understanding. I'm like, don't find me work to do. No, like, just send me home.
Right.
It doesn't take 4 people to do one person's job.
Right.
That's a rare complaint. But
Yeah.
people don't utilize resources well. They could have sent us somewhere else. Like another hospital I know was short this weekend.
Yeah.
And they were holding on to us. I don't think they reported it to the staffing to let them know they had a surplus of nurses.
Right.
So I could have actually been helping somebody else who needed help.
Right.
So, but that ain't my job though.
I would agree with that. I think that they're not really good at like utilizing resources appropriately.
I think I probably could have been like called them directly, but why would I do that? I'm going home.
Right.
That's really your responsibility. But I don't know why they were trying to hold on to us. I don't think they wanted to report that they had that many nurses. But really, we should have been canceled before we even got to work, and they could have rescheduled us at the one that needed people.
Right.
But once again, not my job, so I'm sipping to going home, and I'm scrubbing this organization and people not knowing what they're doing.
You know what? Yeah. Very similar. Very similar.
What are you sipping to? Did you say a sip?
I don't think I said a sip. I'm sipping to the light days. I'm sipping to my nice little 3 baby feeder grower days.
It makes
'Cause
you
they
appreciate it,
come-
doesn't it?
It makes you so appreciative. Because, like, I remember in the beginning, when I first got off of orientation, I started having patients on my own. I would be like, oh, I had such a hard day or whatever. And then maybe, like, a couple shifts later, they would give me, like, 2 days in a row of just, like, preemie feeder grower babies. And I would feel, like, guilty on the first day. I would be like, well, I don't really know, like, why they gave me this assignment or whatever. I'm supposed to be in my difficult assignment with my lines and da-da-da-da-da. But by the second day, I was like, oh, this is y'all giving me a break. This is y'all literally saying, here, Alee, take some rest. And I appreciate them for it, because those are the days that really recharge me, rejuvenate me. I'm grateful. I'm sipping for my 3 baby feeder grower assignments.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode.
Yes.
We'll see y'all again later. We about to go walk.
Bye.
It looks like the sun is coming out now.
Exactly. Hot girl walk.
All right, bye y'all.
Bye.